Matt.
Can you hear me? Are you there?
I can hear you. I can't see you.
Should I talk louder? Can
No,
you hear me though?
I can hear you. I can't see you though. You turn your camera
Okay, okay.
on. All right. Okay. I see you, but I can't hear you now. I think your mic's off. I think your mic's off. Turn on your mic.
Let me just.
Okay, I can't see you now.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, I see. I can hear you and I see your screen. Yeah.
Can you hear me fine though?
I can hear you. I can't see you. You're playing Poptropica though. I see that.
What? No, I was not. Did you hear me?
I hear you. Okay, I see you now. I see you. Wednesday, April 1st at 9:35 p.m. is Deeper. A WebEx link will be sent out to everyone. A password shouldn't be required, but if there is one, it's Deeper. Be sure to be registering for your classes because if you don't, then you can't be prize winners like Chloe Butler, Phoebe Strauss, and David Combs, who all just won a $5 gift card to Big B, or Kendall Summer, who just won a $50 gift card to Target, or Tessa Frank, who just won a $100 gift card to the Cougar Gear store. The last of the prizes will be announced in next week's video, so be sure to keep an eye out for that. The list of the prizes that are left include Asus ZenBook 13, two $100 Amazon gift cards, one $50 gift card to Target, and four $5 gift cards to Big B. And here's a word from some of our SAU coaches.
I would just like to give a shout out to my seniors. I feel bad about how things ended so abruptly. You guys have been exceptional. You set the bar for all kinds of future generations of tennis players. And I want to thank you, even though we didn't get to complete our journey together in the way that I would have liked. I want to thank you guys for doing things the right way and for being wonderful members of the team.
Just like to have a shout out to the softball players this year, especially the seniors. They were great leaders for us this year. I am so proud of who they became and who they are, and I know they're going to go out and change the world one person at a time, much like we talk about all the time. But I know the disappointment is there because I see the love in their eyes for their teammates. And so I look forward to next year and what they have taught our team to take on for the future.
I think this time brings a lot of negativity, and I just, I urge our athletes and specifically the tennis teams to just try to find positivity, try to find a way to look at this in a positive light, look forward to the next year, look forward to our next athletic season, and just kind of take that fire and energy into the summer and then into the fall.
As we know, we never know what God has for us and what's around the corner, and so this was around the corner for us here, and He knew it. And I feel for all the athletes as their seasons were ended, some as freshmen, some as seniors, and in between. It hurts everyone, but again, thank you for those seniors, as they've mentioned already, for your impact over the last 4 years. And we're sad to see you go soon, but excited for what you're going to be doing in the future. And for the other athletes, I know this is a tough to lose a season, but we're so excited to have you back and to hopefully do even better next year because you're going to be playing with no regrets. So.
In light of the recent changes in the world today, we're going to pass it off to Mark Correll in our next segment, COVID Talk.
I'm Dr. Correll, and I teach history. So Brian Konos asked me if I wouldn't be willing to put together a few little thoughts about the history of pandemics, about how people respond to them. And so I kind of come up with this little thought. So a few days ago, I was struck by the lectionary that I read, and the verse for the day was Luke 9:62, and it reads, "No one who puts a hand to the plow and looks back is fit for service in the kingdom of God." Now, I don't teach a lot about pandemics, even though there are some really cool historical books about them. I do teach about the Black Plague, however, and comparing that really devastating plague to our current crisis shows that human psychology is fairly uniform in moments of epidemics. We are afraid of the inherent mystery in attackers we cannot see or fully understand, these germs, these viruses. And during the Black Death, there was a decrease in neighborliness. Petty crimes such as looting neighbors' fields, moving boundary stones, accusing neighbors of swindling. Certainly, had they had nice toilet paper and hand sanitizer, they would have hoarded that as well. We also see that they tried to create a semblance of control in their lives and in this disease by blaming others. By blaming others for their suffering that they were experiencing. They accused Jews of poisoning wells and as such engaged in pogroms against them, killing many, destroying their communities, tearing down their homes. And so it sounds really silly when we hear people talking about Jews poisoning wells as being the responsibility for the Black Death. But remember that whenever you hear somebody talking about this disease as being foreign or Chinese, right? The same root is in there that we want to try to blame somebody else rather than take this disease for what it is. We seek in these times to control that which we can by taking out our rage on others. And I think that when we engage in this kind of activity, the church in these moments is looking back at the furrows already plowed rather than looking towards the horizon of God's kingdom and showing ourselves unworthy of the kingdom of God. However, if we go back further in time, the church grew at its fastest during the 3rd century in the Roman Empire. This was a very tumultuous century, punctuated by civil wars and periodic plagues. There was 1.30 different emperors who ruled in a 50-year period. And there's strong evidence that one of the reasons for the growth in the church was that of that century was that it cared for its own. When plagues descended on cities, the wealthy and pagan doctors socially isolated, heading towards into the countryside, leaving behind everybody else to fend with the disease on their own. The church, however, was different. Church members cared for their own. The leaders of the church risked their own health in order to care for the ill in their congregations. And as such, the church members survived at much higher levels than any of the others because all the pagan doctors, all the pagan healthcare workers, they had fled out into the countryside. There was nobody left to take care of the people who were sick. And so many of the people outside of the church looked at the church. They saw that the church was an institution, was a community that cared for its members, that loved its members. There was love within. And many of them decided to join the church because that was a place where they could get that same love and that same care. So I think, in short, you look at the self-sacrifice of these 3rd century Christians in the face of plague, and you see that they valued the kingdom of God more than they valued this world. They were deemed ready and deemed worthy of the kingdom of God. I think if we look at a more recent pandemic going back 100 years to the Spanish flu pandemic of 1919, we see kind of similar actions to today as well. Right? There was scapegoating, attempting to blame it on other people. We had just fought a war against Germany in World War I, and some people were blaming them and claiming that they were responsible for spreading the disease. The very fact that we call it the Spanish flu doesn't probably have a whole lot to do with where the flu originated, so much as the people who named it didn't think very highly of Spaniards and their hygiene and their medical care. And so it has more to do with the negative things than it does with real kind of attempts to be truthful about it. We also see that in certain places, right, by that point they have pretty good medical care. They're beginning to understand germ theory. And so many people are saying social distancing is the best way to solve this. And this worked in a city like St. Louis, where they were able to exercise this. And because of that, they were able to take care of the most sick. They were able to take care of their families. And as such, the casualty rates were relatively low. Another city like Philadelphia, unfortunately, where the political leaders were a little corrupt, they were not telling them the honest truth, and people panicked. You saw instead that the death rate spiked because people weren't willing to take care of other people who were already sick. They weren't willing to take care of the people around them. And so you had children starving because there was no parents left to take care of them. Or you had just the disease spread very rapidly because people weren't slowing down their everyday lives. So In any case, it may be that the best thing you can do is to stay isolated, make sure nobody else gets sick because of things that you're doing. It may also be that you have that opportunity to take care of somebody in your family or one of your neighbors who is at risk or who is sick, and deliver food and take care of them, love them. Show yourself worthy of the kingdom of God. Look towards the horizon, and know that we faculty members are in this with you. We're teaching from home, and we miss seeing you guys' faces and being in the room with you. But we wish you strength and courage and God's love in these times.
Thanks, Dr. Correll, for giving us some insight into the context of pandemics historically, but also how the church has responded in the past. That reminds me of a podcast I listened to this past week. Ed Stetzer, a national church leader, suggests that how the world has responded to the initial phases of this pandemic are right and good, and that we must continue to follow these guidelines. But there will come at the aftermath and the after effects, kind of the second phase of the pandemic, in learning how we can meet needs of those around us, especially those who've been most affected by the crisis, those who have greater physical needs, those who've lost family members, those who are in need financially. And as the church, he calls us to be ready to respond to those needs. Because as the church, we need to be the ones to love and serve our community so that we can share the gospel and share the love of Christ. Would you join me in praying that we can be some who will respond quickly and will be ready when that time comes? Thanks for joining us for Almost Chapel Quarantine, this third episode. Now would you please stay tuned for Tina Grace as she closes our time in prayer.
Hi, I'm Tina Grace. I'm a senior business major here at Spring Arbor University, and I just wanted to pray with you guys this morning and encourage you a little bit. Lord God, I just thank you for this day. I thank you for the calm spirit that you have in the midst of a storm, Lord God. I just ask that you just continue to give us peace of mind, even though the world around us is going crazy, Lord God. I just ask that you just allow us to focus on the little things and focus on enjoying our families right now, Lord God, and enjoying the small joyous moments that we have, Lord God. I also ask that you be with those families who are going through intensive quarantine right now, Lord God, because of the virus, and be with them in their times of sickness, Lord God, and just continue to give us hope that this will all be over soon, and be patient with the process, Lord God. In your name we pray, amen. Thank you, and have a good day.